In every conflict, whether in politics, business, or the quiet struggles of daily life, there exists a single, silent mistake that decides who will rule and who will serve. It happens in an instant. One man acts with composure, the other reacts with emotion. The first dictates the story, the second becomes a character inside it. When you react first, you surrender the tempo of power. You yield control not because you are weak, but because you have allowed someone else to set the rhythm. The initiator becomes the composer of your behavior. You, by responding, become their instrument, and this is how power shifts, not with force, but with timing. Machiavelli understood this law long before the modern world named it psychology. He saw that men are not moved by truth, but by appearance, not by justice, but by pressure. The man who reacts first is the man who appears emotional, unstable, and predictable, and in politics, just like in human relationships, predictability is death. Pause for a moment and think of the moments when you felt provoked. An insult disguised as a joke, a decision that ignored your effort, a message that stirred anger. The instinct rises, to respond, to defend, to prove. But understand this, the instant you react, you reveal the pressure point of your soul. You have told the world, this is where I can be reached. The wise do not expose that weakness. They let silence answer first. For silence, when used with intention, is not submission. It is psychological warfare. A ruler, a strategist, or a mind of great ambition must learn to master the art of pausing. That pause is where control begins. In that pause, you choose how reality will be shaped, because most conflicts are not lost through logic. They are lost through timing. The man who can wait sees the entire board, while the one who rushes moves blindly toward his defeat. To react is to move according to another's plan. To hold still is to make them question theirs. Watch how the powerful operate. When accused, they remain calm. When insulted, they smile. When pressured, they delay. It is not apathy. It is dominance through stillness. The untrained mind calls it coldness. The strategic mind calls it composure. Machiavelli wrote that men should be either crushed or indulged, for small injuries provoke more hatred than great ones. The same principle applies to reaction. If you must respond, make it so decisive that no further exchange is needed. But until that moment, do nothing. Never react first. Because the first reaction locks you into someone else's rhythm. And once you are inside their rhythm, you have already lost the freedom to think. Think of a chess game. The amateur rushes his pieces forward, eager to attack. The master waits. He studies the board, reads the impatience of his opponent, and strikes only when movement guarantees control. The amateur reacts to the board. The master makes the board react to him. This is not only strategy, it is philosophy. In the theater of power, the reactionary is the fool who believes every action demands a reply. The Machiavellian understands that most actions are traps disguised as invitations. They invite your anger, your defense, your need to prove your worth. Once you step into that frame, you lose your shape. You become a reflection, not a force. Your reaction is a confession. It reveals what you fear, what you value, and what you cannot control. The moment you raise your voice, you expose your wound. The moment you rush to explain, you show dependence on others' approval. The moment you answer an insult, you admit it struck truth. To master yourself, you must master your tempo. When you slow down your reactions, you steal time from your opponent. They begin to wonder what you are thinking, what you are planning, whether they have gone too far. Their certainty dissolves, and in that uncertainty, your quiet becomes power. Men of low discipline think control comes from aggression, but true control comes from resistance, resisting the pull of emotion, resisting the bait of provocation, resisting the urge to act without understanding. The ruler who reacts to every rumor loses authority. The mind that reacts to every feeling loses clarity. The principle is simple yet merciless. Whoever controls the rhythm controls the world. Those who act in haste dance to someone else's song. Those who pause make the world adjust to theirs. Observe the wolves of politics and business. They do not bark first, they watch, they calculate. They wait for others to expose themselves through reaction. They gather intelligence through silence. Then, when the moment is ripe, they strike not from emotion, but from precision. You must learn to endure discomfort without release. Let others show their cards through their need to speak, to act, to be seen. The moment you react first, you abandon your throne and kneel before impulse. The man who cannot delay his response will forever serve the one who can. Reaction is surrender because it makes you visible. It pulls you from the shadows where power ripens. The one who moves first out of emotion steps into light. And the light, though it may feel empowering, exposes weakness to the watchful eyes of those who play a longer game. To rise above the average, to enter the domain of untouchable power, you must reverse the instinct that rules most men. Do not let anger decide your speech. Do not let fear decide your timing. Do not let pride decide your move. Reaction belongs to the untrained, composure belongs to the ruler. And remember, in the eyes of the powerful, stillness is not passivity. It is the mask of control beneath which entire empires are planned. For in stillness, you command not only the world's perception, but your own inner storm. Power does not belong to the loud. It belongs to those who can stand in the noise of emotion and remain untouched. The world worships expression. People are told to speak their truth, to show their feelings, to be transparent. But Machiavelli would laugh at this illusion. He would tell you that the man who shows all he feels becomes a tool in the hands of those who know how to read him. For the ruler, the statesman, or any soul seeking control, emotion must be concealed not because it is wrong, but because it is valuable, and value must never be given freely. Emotional restraint is not repression, it is strategy. To restrain what you feel is not to deny your humanity, but to weaponize it. Emotions are the raw materials of manipulation. Whoever can provoke them in you controls you, but whoever can control them within himself controls others. Machiavelli understood this principle in every court he observed. Men who reacted emotionally to slander, insult, or fear were predictable, and the predictable were expendable. Imagine yourself in a heated argument. Your opponent attacks your pride, your worth, your dignity. Every nerve demands a reaction. Every impulse urges you to strike back. But in that exact moment, when your blood burns and your ego screams, that is when you are most easily conquered. The one who provoked you has already succeeded. They have drawn you out of yourself. They have set the field, and you have stepped willingly into their design. Restraint, however, transforms the battlefield. When you refuse to react, your silence becomes an invisible blade. It cuts through their expectations, their confidence, their rhythm. People feed off emotional response. They need your reaction to validate their power. When you do not give it, you deny them nourishment. Your stillness becomes unbearable to them because it mirrors their own lack of control. This silence does not mean coldness, it means mastery. It means that you govern your inner state as a king governs his city, firmly with laws, with discipline. If anger rises, you let it breathe inside, unseen. If fear whispers, you listen, but do not obey. You learn to stand still while the storm inside you passes. The average mind confuses expression with freedom. The Machiavellian mind knows that expression without control is self-exposure. Think of a lion stalking its prey. It does not roar before it strikes. It waits, invisible, calculating distance and wind. Its silence is not weakness. It is preparation. The same is true of emotion. When you speak in anger, your words become arrows shot in blindness. But when you hold them, when you let silence shape them, your words, when finally released, strike with surgical precision. Machiavelli wrote that a prince must learn to appear virtuous, not necessarily to be virtuous. In the same way, a powerful mind must learn to appear calm, even if turmoil leaves within, because perception governs reality. If others believe you are unshaken, they will act as if you are untouchable. And in time, this perception will become true, for the mind adapts to the mask it wears. The actor becomes the role. To practice emotional restraint is to separate feeling from action. The feeling may surge, but action must wait for reason. It is the art of delay, of holding fire until the moment guarantees advantage. Most people explode too soon, driven by their need to be understood. But those who are ruled by that need will forever be ruled by those who are not. The Machiavellian knows that silence is not emptiness. It is a mirror that reflects others' impatience. There is a strange power in the calm face of the unmoved man. In every crowd he stands out. People project onto him mystery, strength, danger. They wonder what he knows, what he plans, what he hides. They cannot predict him, and what cannot be predicted cannot be controlled. This is the psychology of restraint. It reverses the dynamic of power. When others cannot read you, they fear you. When they cannot provoke you, they respect you. Observe those who climb high. They all share this quality. Their gestures are deliberate, their speech measured, their silence unnerving. They rarely show emotion in public, and if they do, it is chosen, calculated, performed. For emotion, once expressed, becomes information, and information in the game of power is a weapon that can be turned against you. To restrain your emotions is to create an inner fortress. Within that fortress, your thoughts can develop freely without being distorted by reaction. You begin to see people not through the haze of anger or affection, but through clarity. You see their motives, their fears, their ambitions. Most people cannot do this because they are busy defending their feelings. But when you master emotional restraint, you stop defending and start observing. You become the observer of the human condition, not its victim. Understand that silence speaks. The pause before you answer, the lack of visible reaction, the controlled tone, all these create tension in others. They begin to question their own certainty. Did they offend you? Did they lose influence? Are you planning something? That uncertainty is your advantage. You do not have to act powerful when others are busy imagining your power. There will be moments when the silence feels heavy, almost unbearable. You will want to defend yourself, to explain, to prove that you care, that you are right. Resist that pull. Let the tension build. Power is born in the ability to hold tension longer than others can. The one who breaks first loses control. The great mistake of emotional expression is that it assumes the world is fair, that honesty will be met with honesty, vulnerability with understanding. Machiavelli would tell you the opposite. The world uses what you show against you. To survive, you must reveal emotion only when it serves a purpose, when it strengthens your influence or disarms an enemy. Every other emotion should remain inside your chamber, unseen, disciplined, loyal only to you, because in the court of power, silence is the throne on which emotion kneels. Those who learn to sit upon that throne, unmoved, composed, unreadable, command the rhythm of all who cannot. In the pursuit of power, there exists a secret rhythm, an invisible pulse that governs every decision, every conflict, every rise and fall. The ordinary mind rushes toward it blindly, impatient to act, desperate to resolve, addicted to movement. But the Machiavellian mind knows that haste is the disguise of weakness. True mastery is not in constant motion. It is in calculated stillness. The art of delayed action is the art of control itself. Every empire that has ever stood was built not by the fastest hand, but by the hand that could wait. Waiting is not idleness, it is the sharpening of perception. It is the invisible preparation that precedes inevitable victory. To delay is to see what others missed, to let events ripen before touching them. Machiavelli understood that every opportunity carries two lives, one born in chaos and one born in timing. The impatient man seizes the first and loses everything. The patient man waits for the second and owns the world. When you act too soon, you reveal your hunger, and hunger, when seen, becomes leverage for others. They will feed it, guide it, exploit it. The world manipulates the impulsive, but when you learn to delay, to let silence stretch between provocation and response, you create unease in others. They cannot read you, they cannot predict you, they cannot move you. In that uncertainty, your power begins to take form. To delay action is not to retreat. It is to control the tempo of the game. The impatient seek to win moments. The patient seek to win eras. There is a vast difference between speed and timing. Speed is driven by emotion. Timing is born from understanding. Machiavelli would say that men should be bold only when fortune is ready to be seized. Before that, they must appear still, even passive, but only as an illusion. Beneath that stillness lies calculation. Beneath that patience lies strategy. Observe the fox and the lion, the two beasts Machiavelli often invoked. The fox watches, hidden, gathering knowledge, waiting for the lion to roar. The lion, blinded by his own force, exposes his neck in the act of attacking. The fox strikes not when provoked, but when precision ensures survival. The man of delayed action carries both instincts, the patience of the fox and the force of the lion. But the lion moves only when the fox has chosen the right moment. Look at how emotions trick you into haste. Anger tells you to speak now. Fear tells you to flee now. Desire tells you to act now. But all these voices share one purpose: to make you react before you can think. To master delayed action is to turn these voices into advisors rather than commanders. You listen to them, you acknowledge them, but you do not obey them. You wait until the emotional wave passes, and then you act from clarity, not chaos. The modern world rewards reaction. Every platform, every conversation, every provocation demands immediacy, but immediacy kills strategy. It traps the mind in cycles of shallow victories. The powerful separate themselves from this rhythm. They do not rush to answer, to explain, to defend. They hold the silence longer than anyone else can bear. For them, delay is not hesitation. It is observation. Every second of stillness reveals new information, and information is the bloodline of power. Imagine a negotiation. The weak party speaks quickly, eager to fill the silence, to prove their worth, to avoid discomfort. The strong one listens. Each word, each hesitation, each emotional shift becomes a map. The longer they wait, the clearer the path becomes, and when they finally act, when they finally speak, their words are few, but every one lands with precision. That is not coincidence. That is the discipline of delayed action. Most people confuse delay with doubt. They think that waiting means weakness, but the truth is the opposite. Delay demands more strength than attack. To wait while under pressure, to hold still while being provoked, to observe when every nerve screams to act. That is command over the self. The weak move because they must. The strong move because they choose. The world is full of motion but empty of mastery. To wait while others burn in their impatience is to place yourself outside their reach. The art of delayed action also teaches you the timing of revelation. Not everything you know must be shown. Not every advantage must be used at once. Power often lies in what is not said, in what is not done, in what remains hidden until the moment it will cause the greatest shift. This is how rulers move armies without lifting their hands, how leaders win battles before they begin, how the cunning win loyalty without asking for it. Consider nature itself, the slow, deliberate rhythm of the seasons. The tree does not force its growth. It waits for the sun's return. The river carves stone not through violence, but through persistence. Nature moves with time, not against it. The same law governs the human pursuit of influence. Those who align their actions with timing, who act only when the moment is fertile, achieve with one gesture what others cannot with a lifetime of effort. Machiavelli wrote that fortune favors the bold, but his definition of boldness was misunderstood. Boldness is not rashness. It is the courage to wait when all others rush, and the precision to strike when no one expects it. The delay makes the action decisive. The waiting sharpens the blade. Without that preparation, action is mere movement, dramatic, loud, and ultimately empty. Patience is a weapon disguised as virtue. The impatient think they are alive because they are moving, but they are merely reacting. The patient look motionless, yet beneath their calm, they are building, watching, aligning the pieces of the unseen. Then, when the world least expects it, they move once, and the game changes forever. This is the art of delayed action, to live in tension with time, to bend it, to rule it, to make it serve you instead of enslaving you. It is the discipline of invisible preparation, the mastery of inner pace, the refusal to be ruled by urgency. Because every great victory begins not in action, but in the silence before it, when the world waits, and you alone know when the moment will finally be yours. Power is not found in motion, but in mastery. It does not belong to those who speak first, react fast, or burn with emotion. It belongs to those who can endure the pause, who can sit in silence while others unravel, who can see 10 moves ahead because they are not blinded by impulse. Machiavelli understood that the ruler's strength lies not in constant action, but in controlled restraint, the ability to command the rhythm of the world without revealing the rhythm of the self. To never react first is to live above the noise. It is to walk through the fire of provocation without being scorched, to turn stillness into a weapon and patience into empire. When others are slaves to emotion, you remain untouchable. When they chase, you observe. When they strike, you decide when and whether to strike back. That is not coldness. It is sovereignty. The world bends to those who master themselves first, and time serves those who do not serve their impulses. Because in the end, true power is not the ability to act, it is the freedom to choose when to. If you seek control, master your reactions. If you seek power, learn to move only when silence has already made you the victor.